Today's podcast is presented by Podgo. Podgo is the easiest way for you to monetize your podcast, providing podcasters with a flat rate for ad space so you always know how much you get when you include an ad from Podgo. Apply today to become a member and immediately be connected with advertisers that fit your audience. That's podgo.co at podgo.co. And be sure to add the Slang Self podcast in the How Did You Hear About Podgo section of the application. You're listening to the Slang Self podcast, where we empower women of faith to identify, acknowledge, and accept their doubts and limits and beliefs in order to give birth to their God-given purpose. Join me and sometimes some of my friends on our journey as we remind you that you are not alone. I'm Felicia Wallace, and together we will find our fears and slay them. Welcome back to another episode of the Slang Self podcast. I am here with Keelay Carter from the Keelay Carter Experience. Hey, Keelay, how are you?
Hey, I'm fine. How are you?
I am great. So, funny story. I usually try to figure out, and like I tell people like how we get connected. And so, honestly, for you probably don't know, but I'll tell you is that I actually was stalking you for a little bit. And so, literally probably everybody who will be in the upcoming podcast, the series of the journey behind the business will be people I stalked for about a year that I just was watching them and just like really being inspired by them. And last year, God had told me to, interview some people. I have like a list of like 50 people, but I literally only pitched like 15. And my nerves just got the best of me that I just didn't even move anymore. Like once those people said yes, I was like, okay, I'm done, And so I've literally watched you go from mom-ish to the Keelay Carter Experience, like watching your lives, all the food you be making, just your transparency, your honesty, your stories, like everything has just been like inspirational to me. And so what's funny is that I was watching a live of you with someone else that I interviewed, Adrian, and y'all both were talking about not playing small, right? And so, I was having this conversation, and in that moment, the Lord was like, "You need to just go ahead and do it." I said, "Okay, fine. I'm a go ahead and send this message." And then I get this email that you actually asked me, and I said, "What won't he do it?" Like I was like, "Oh my gosh!" Like who knew? Like she didn't even know I was looking for her, and I was like, "The Lord just he be looking out." So I am so glad that we are able to finally do this, to have this conversation, because I'm super excited to just like hear about your experience and how you kind of evolved into where you are today. So I just wanted to tell you that I was stalking you for real.
Listen, I'm honored. I'm over here like I'm honored, okay, because God will align you with the people that He needs you to connect with. I believe in that totally. And
Yes.
I was like fearful of pitching myself, and I was like, I love her vibe. I seen you on the live with Patrice. That's my girl. That's my sis.
Oh yeah, yeah,
I was just giving up a word. Like I was in here almost in tears, like past the offering plate. And I was like, her spirit is everything. And I'm intentional with who I connected with. And so I was like, oh, I gotta email her. And I was just like, I pray over everything I send out. I'm like, Lord, if it's your will, then let it be done. And when you messaged me back, I was like, you know
Listen, that is, and you know what? So Patrice, like, so those who have watched the lives, Patrice, I went to her exercise classes and I loved her energy too. And she like helped me out real, like God gave me this idea and I was just like, I don't even know. This was May of last year. And so I literally hit her up like the night before. I was like, hey, I don't know if you remember me or not, but I had this idea. Are you willing? She was like, yes, I'm down. And then when we did her celebration, she hit me up and was like, I want to do this. And I couldn't think of anybody else but you. I was like, what? Me? Like it was, I promise you, I'm just like, you're right. God just aligns the people that he wants to be connected. And that was one of the things I prayed about is just community and genuine connection. And he has just been showing up. So I am glad we are connected. We know that this is purposeful, right? So y'all can already tell this conversation about to be good then because we already in alignment. Okay. So we've told our stories. I want you to tell my audience a little bit about yourself and how you got started.
Okay, I'm Keelay Carter, the CEO and founder of the Keelay Carter Experience. Y'all, I've just gotten used to saying that boldly and
Come on.
confidently, okay? But it's been a long journey. Like she said, I started with Momish Podcast. Momish Podcast was really just a vent session for me to talk about everything that I was going through with my motherhood journey. My husband just really got tired. He didn't get tired. I felt like he got tired of hearing about everything that I was going through. And I was like, I need to talk to other women that understand what I'm going through. And so I started to bring mothers on and we would talk about our journeys, our experiences. And so I broadened it where it was more so of moms telling, their differences where a single mother would come on, a mom with a child with disabilities would come on, a mom
Mm,
blended their families would come on. And the feedback from the moms and the women were like, "Oh my gosh, like I needed that podcast. You don't know that I was going through this same thing." And when I began to see that the stories were aligning to women and reaching, this masses of women, I was like, "Good God, I didn't know this was supposed to this was just supposed
yeah.
to be a session for me." And so that was Momish podcast, but then it evolved into the apparel line. It evolved into the curated events where I would bring women together and we would just have these events, have this community where we're building each other up and encouraging one another. And then in 2020 the pandemic hit, y'all, and
Mhm.
that thing hit hard. Like
Yeah.
we started having death all around us. My pastor passed away January
Mm,
2020, and that hit me really, really, really hard. And I was just going through so much. And then Kobe, we didn't know him personally, but that hit me.
yeah.
A couple of our friends lost their parents, and death was just around us. And I
Yeah.
was like, you know what? I broke down, and I was just, yeah, I was in the midst of just crying all the time. And God just told me, this is the time where I need you to stop victimizing, and I need you to begin to use your pain for purpose.
Mm,
And it was just clear. Like sometimes you be like, was that God or was that me?
right.
And it
Every
was
day.
God where he was like, it's time to turn your pain into purpose. And everything that I've been through in my childhood, through my family, all the things that we've been through, I was like, you know what, that's what the Keelay Carter experience was. And I couldn't think of a name. And I listened to a message and it was like God gave you your identity. And so that's when I said, I am the brand. My brand is me.
Yes.
And so I'm not no longer limited to just mom content or mom events, but now I want to reach the masses of women, encouraging and uplifting and inspiring women, but also using my story and sharing it transparently for purpose.
Yes. No, yeah, yes. All of that. Okay. First of all, yes, the pandemic hit us really, really hard. It was I literally even Kobe, when you said that, like, no, we don't know him personally, but I remember sitting in the living room. No, we were in the kitchen, and my husband and his friends, because we were last year, we both turned 40. And so we was planning a 40th birthday celebration because my husband's birthday is in March. So that was what, the end of January, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that was the end of January. And we were there planning, like, we was gonna go on this cruise. And when like, it literally, the entire, like, it was three couples sitting there, and we all just like, what the, like it hurt so bad because it's like you grew up. I'm like, I remember when he went to prom with Brandy. Like
Yes.
we're like almost the same age. Like, you watched him grow up, and it was so personal. And then for the, like, 2 months later, for the whole world to shut down, it was like, what in the world is happening? And so I always say that. So when you were saying about turning your pain into purpose, like, I've said throughout my time on here, throughout the show during the pandemic, that, like, no matter what was happening, because some very, very sad stuff happened. We know a lot of people lost their lives. At the same time, God is still God, and
Yes.
the people that He needed to birth in this season, that's exactly what He did. The purposes that were birthed, it happened for a reason, right? So I'm glad that you took that energy, and you were obedient in doing, because it was very easy, super easy for us to be like, I'm gonna wait till this is over.
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
gonna just wait till the pandemic's over, and then I'm gonna get my life together. And then month after month, it was like, okay, so we're not leaving. We still here. And I think we all had like, kind of a decision to make. So as you just starting off with that story, how has self-doubt showed up in your journey? I told y'all, imposter syndrome is real. When I'm in those moments of doubt and anxiety, I ask myself, who's going to listen to you? Did God really call you to do this? Or, girl, ain't nobody trying to pay you to talk to them? These thoughts lead me to procrastination and being paralyzed by my fears and doubts. Throughout this journey of slaying my own self doubt, I have some tried and true practical steps that have helped me, and I would love to share them with you. Head on over to my website at www.feliciawallace.com and download the 5 ways to slay your self doubt. Now back to the show.
Oh gosh, self-doubt. This is why I love your podcast, because self-doubt is so powerful, and I don't think we ever named that thing
Mm-hmm.
all my life, and I've never like named it. It was just like, oh, fear was the number one word that came to mind, but
Yeah.
self-doubt is real, where you're kind of like talking yourself out of everything, and it's so crazy that it doesn't necessarily stop. And I tell people that all the time, like it's not a blink of an eye type thing. It's not one of those fancy Instagram videos where you can kind of just like flip the switch and it goes
Yep.
away. Like self-doubt is something that I have to pray about all the time. So self-doubt came in with momish podcast was my baby. I legit wanted to trademark that, but things came in the way. Things were just stopping every which way. Like I mean, a year and a half going in, I wasted money, I wasted time, I wasted
Mm.
it was so hurtful for me because I was like, this is something, this is my baby, this is what I wanted. But God saw he had a purpose. So
Yeah.
July of 2020, during the pandemic, the Keelay Carter Experience was trademarked July 15th, 2020.
Yes.
No issues, no problems, no difficulties. And it was just like, God was blocking that for a reason.
Come on.
But when it comes to self-doubt, it shows up on Instagram, it shows up outside of Instagram, where I'm like, well, I'm not gonna apply for this. I'm not gonna pitch this podcast because I don't have anything to say, or people don't want to hear what I have to say. I can't post this. I know people tired of seeing me post about my business, so maybe I should stop posting about my business.
Hmm.
And I would literally do that, y'all. I was like, I ain't gonna promote no more. If it happens, it happens. No, that's just not how it works. Like, you
Yeah.
believe in yourself. And most recently I spoke on a panel in Jamaica just last week
Come
actually.
on. Yeah.
And I have been saying I wanted to speak on a panel, just tell my story. When I got there, y'all, self-doubt showed up like no tomorrow. Like, I mean, nerves came. I walked into the on the platform and I seen all the other women, and when they started telling their stories and how long they had been in their business, and I was just like, you don't belong here. Your
Mm.
mind will tell you, you don't belong here. Like, you hear their story, they have something to say. You don't have anything to say. And y'all, the nerves came in. And that's when I was just like trying to block it out. I was like, Lord, you wouldn't have made a way for me to be here if you didn't need me to be.
Yeah.
Whoever I'm supposed to reach, I may not reach all of these women that are here, but whoever I'm supposed to reach and impact, I know that you have them in this room for a reason.
Yeah.
And that's just how you have to attack it, because self-doubt will show up in and out every day. Okay.
Yes.
You will
Yes.
not stop.
Listen, and that's the reason. So I say this often, but I at the beginning of this when I started this podcast, I was like, I'm gonna wait until I don't have self-doubt no more, and then I'm gonna do a podcast. And I always like think about, like, now I think about it and I can laugh about it because it was like that don't even make no sense. Like, and it literally was, God was like, no, this is a journey. People have to watch you go through it. They have to watch you have those moments, the transparency, the honesty. And it's very difficult to be vulnerable because, like you said, fear always comes up. Well, I say that fear is just a symptom of self-doubt, right? Like that's how it shows up. But the core of it is that you doubt yourself. You doubt that nobody wants to listen to you. You doubt, you compare yourself to other people. You doubt that your story isn't enough, that you haven't done enough, that you're not worthy, that, all of those things, which is all a lie, right? Because he made each and every single one of us individual, and we are connected to other people, and you have to be able to be confident in yourself. Not saying that you won't still have the self-doubt, but just like I had another guest who said, like, self doubt got to come with me. Like we're in this space. You here, but me and you about to talk on this panel. Me and you about to go on this stage. Me and you about to do this podcast. And a lot of times, the for me, like when it shows up and I push through, the joy I feel after it, like of being like, yes, we
Yeah,
did it. It's
yeah,
like you end up being like, what was I even worried about? But but every time, and I think that it shows up heavily when you are walking in purpose, because that is when the enemy is like, no, 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 not today. Like that the Kimbe Matumbo commercial where he knocked that cereal out that little boy hand, like not in my house. And
that
that's what it feels like.
that's exactly what it feels like. He's like, wait a minute, she getting too what your grandparents would say, you're smelling yourself now.
Yes.
She's starting to smell herself now. I gotta stop her. So, but it's okay. Like, don't be ashamed of your story. Don't be afraid to tell your story. And I love the saying when it said when other people are gonna have their thoughts, they're gonna have their opinion. But when other people have opinion, God has purpose. And
Yes.
so He's placed something in each and every one of us. And like you said, our purpose is connected to somebody else's destiny. So somebody else is waiting for us to get it together so they can live in their purpose fully.
Yes. So what practical steps do you do when you're in those moments of self-doubt? Like clearly I know being on stage, you probably couldn't do everything that you wanted to do because now you're right there. You got a quick prayer like, Lord, just remove all doubt and anxiety and like let's go. But when you're finding yourself before you're getting ready to pitch yourself to somebody or before you're getting ready to apply to something, what are some practical things that you do to get you to just do it?
For me is I love Sarah Jakes Roberts. I love her. I will listen to her messages because sometimes I just need a uplifting word. I need to
Yeah.
be reminded of what God said about me and what He's called me to do. I'll turn on my worship music because sometimes those songs that we grew up on in church now they have a different meaning because we done been through some things.
Yes.
So when I listen to those words, I'm like, you know what?
You're right.
Like God is right. Imagine me being free.
Yes.
I am totally.
Listen,
Like
listen. And
so
then you wonder why you see when you see your grandmother and your mother and they're praising, and you be like, "Oh, okay, I get it now.
yeah,
I
I
so get
get it.
it now."
I get it. But yeah, that's exactly what I've been doing. That's what's been pushing me through worship and finding a sermon, reading those empowerment books about what I'm going through. If I'm going through self-doubt, listen to a podcast about self-doubt, like slaying self-doubt.
Hey,
When you when you I have fear. I've been reading Joyce Meyer's book, Do It Afraid, and I have to get that book that everybody was talking about, the book
a
about love.
professional troublemaker.
Yes.
Yes, yeah. I
Oh,
actually won that on a giveaway off of Instagram. So I started reading it yesterday and I'm like 10 pages in and I already had like it was already like, oh yeah, this about to be. It was late yesterday, so I was just like, no, I need this book need my full attention.
yes, I have to get that book. But yes, just find those things that are you're gonna have to refill your cup.
Yes, yes. So what have you learned about yourself during this journey that you didn't know before? When I first started posting on social media for the podcast, oh my goodness, it was a disaster. I did not know what I was doing. I was guessing at everything. Then things shifted for me when I got introduced to three platforms that changed the game for me. I started using Canva for my graphics, Caption Writer for my captions, and Wave for the audiograms. Seriously, if you go back to the beginning of the Slaying Self Doubt Instagram page, you will see the transformation. If you are in the process of branding or rebranding yourself, I recommend you try out these platforms. Canva has hundreds of templates that you can choose from to design any type of post you desire. Caption Writer allows you to create and save your captions with the perfect line breaks and even lets you add different fonts. Wave helps you create snippets of your content to share with your followers. They have closed captions and those cool little wavy lines. If you're interested in trying them out, click the links in the show notes to start using them today. Now, back to the show.
That I have more strength than I gave myself credit for.
Mm,
Um, I used to always, my sisters are they come they're stronger than me. Like you can see it. You can see their strength. And last week we did something. in Jamaica, we climbed the Dunn's River Fall, and I was with my sisters, and we were climbing with other women. And the instructor, he took my hand, y'all. He took my hand, and he was like, I'm taking you. And I was like, why are you taking me? He was like, because out of the whole group, I can see the fear on your face.
Mm.
And I was just like, wow, like he
Oh,
spoke.
that gave me goosebumps, bro.
Girl,
Like the Lord was right there. Like, I got you.
listen, I was like, first of all, it was a whole sermon in that whole climbing the mountain thing.
Yes.
And I was just like, wow. But that opened my eyes to say a lot of the times, like, I'm being afraid and I'm being fearful, and it's showing. Whether
Hmm.
people can see me or not, when I'm behind the Instagram screen, when I'm not promoting my business, when I'm not talking about my brand, when I'm not sharing my story, that fear is on my face. That fear is being put out into the atmosphere. And God is telling me, no, like, this is your time to overcome fear. But it's this journey has definitely shown me strength, because I will always use it as inconsistency. I would be like, oh, I started this and then I gave up that. I started this and I gave up that. This has been the one thing that I have not given up on
Hmm.
through everything going wrong, through stuff being thrown at me, through family stuff going on in the background, through just multiple breakdowns, scheduling, trying to telework, virtual school,
Listen.
all of that, and still build a brand and do all of these multiple jobs, because I don't have a team at all. So I do everything with the
I,
help of my husband. And I'm not giving up. And I'm like,
yeah.
look at you, girl. Look at me.
Yeah, for real. No, for real. Look at you. And so I want to take a moment, right? Because yesterday during the celebration, people had an opportunity to be able to we had an opportunity to be able to share our own wins. Those of us who Shalice has selected to be able to, say something on the thing. And then we had an opportunity to share, shout out other people. And multiple people shouted you out. And you was like, wait a minute, what?
No, I was like, that was overwhelming for me because I'm so emotional. I told myself I wasn't gonna cry today, but I was crying because it was just like, you don't even realize. Like, I just talked to them. Like, they come to me, we talk to each other, we chatted up, we're transparent with each other, not knowing that, oh, that was making an impact on them, for them to even say those words. And I was just like, wow, God, like, whew.
Yeah, because people see you, right? And so the thing about it is that when you are literally walking in your light and you're doing what you are supposed to do, there is I have noticed that there's a natural flow of things that happen around you and through you. And, when I once I took this step out to say, okay, I'm going to invite people to be on this platform. And Lord, just, same thing you said, like whoever I'm connected to, it got to be from you because I don't want no foolishness, none of that stuff. There were people they would reach out to me, just like yourself. And I'm like, me? Like, you want you want to come on my show? And I would, I research everybody. So I go through like, let me see what they're talking about, whatever. And I've had some people who have been on and I've been like, these people are doing big things. And they are forever connected to the Slaying Self Doubt podcast, right? And so I'm like, all of this means something. Like every person that God has connected me to, it means something. I don't know what it is just yet. I'm sure He'll make it known in some form or fashion. But when you are walking in purpose, the dots will connect. It will, you'll eventually have to look back and be like, I see why that happened. But people are watching you, people are inspired by you, people are paying attention. And I can tell you, I mean, climbing up a river is a little bit different, or a mountain, or I, I, I think I did it when I was a kid. So I don't even remember what it looks like, but it was big. I do remember that. I was like 9. So I remember that, but I like when I see you, like I see strength. When I see you, I'm like, you make me want to step my game up. I'm like, okay, she be out here. She got her photo shoot. She got it. I'm like, and the thing about it is that it's not in a way of like comparison or anything, but it's like it's motivation. And so you continue to do what you do because what you're doing is motivating us who are watching you, and that is one of the biggest things about being in community and networking with other people is that we just continue to push each other forward so that we all win. Like there's no need to compete, right?
That-
Like
that's it.
no
There's
need to compete.
Mm-mm. And
Yes.
and it's so crazy because that's when the alignment comes in. And like you say, you do your research before you bring anybody on your platform. And that's good because I'm like, listen, it's a lot of people on this internet.
Yes, in the
You still
internet.
have to have that discernment on the internet.
Right.
Have that discernment on who God wants you to connect with. Like, of course, everybody wants all of these followers and all this stuff, but understanding that, that's why I say, God, connect me with who you want me to connect with, so that I know it's a genuine connection. And also, like, connect me, like you said, connect me with people who have the same foundational existence as me, because
Yes.
other than that, we're not going to be able to impact and inspire each other if because I don't want you over here competing with me secretly. And
Right.
I'm
Which
thinking we
people
on the
do.
same level.
Right, right, right. Yeah, no, it definitely so that is all the reason why I'm always like filled with joy when I do these interviews is one because I'm able to see that things are possible, right? Like I'm able to hear other people tell me their self-doubt journey, which makes me feel like I'm definitely not crazy and I'm not by myself, right? But also that like we're able to do this together, and it reminds me that Felicia, it is absolutely possible to have everything that God says he's going to give you, that you are capable of doing these things because he has assigned people to go along with you on this journey, right? And so I definitely like I said, people are watching you. You are definitely inspiring people just by being yourself. And that is, I think that is the biggest thing. Like, we not faking out here, right? Like, you're gonna get all this DMV accent, you're gonna get
Yeah,
all of these, you gonna get all of these chopped up words I got, you're gonna get the same. I tell people, I am this, this what you get in person. It literally is no difference. This is me. And that is what people want. They want authenticity. And some of that has to do with us dealing with our own stuff, right? Like, we are going to have to be like, okay, how do I show up as my most authentic self? And going through this journey of, slaying your self doubt is doing absolutely that.
yes, yes. Because I don't have the time to be two different people.
That is way too much energy.
Way
Okay.
too much energy. Way too much energy.
Yes. So the Keelay Carter Experience. Let us. So you said that you transitioned from the Momish podcast, and that was your baby. How was that transitioning to you being your brand? Y'all know the story. This podcast was an assignment from God that had my self doubt and limiting beliefs telling me that nobody would listen. But you, yes, you, kept showing up every week to listen to this podcast. And because you keep showing up, so do I. If you enjoy this podcast and would love to support me and future episodes, please consider making a donation by simply purchasing me a coffee. If you would like to donate, click the Buy Me a Coffee link. Now, back to the show.
So it's been amazing because, like I said, there's no limitations to what I can do. At first I
Mm,
felt boxed in by the word mom, mom-ish.
right.
And so I felt like everything I had to do was around motherhood. So now I'm able to, when I want to tap into my marriage life, my marriage journey, tap into my motherhood journey, but also um a lot of what Keelay Carter Experience is about is community outreach and community impact. Um,
Mm,
I had been doing the curated events before the pandemic with, moms. But then I realized that, like I said, turning my pain into purpose, my childhood, my sister's childhood, my mom's journey, her testimony that she shared on the podcast, with drug addiction and, our grandparents raising us for a certain amount of time. All of that played into part. And I'm like, God didn't keep us. He didn't keep us out of foster care. He didn't keep us out of
mm,
and put in the system for a reason. He kept us for a reason. He wants us to do something with what he kept us for. And
yeah.
so the Keelay Carter Experience, what is working on now is partnering with multiple women's shelters in the DMV area. So far, I've partnered with 3 women's shelters.
Yes.
Upcoming, I'm going to be doing curated events for them. When you think about, my mom's story, when I think about my sister as a single mother, I'm blessed to have the platform that I'm blessed to have where I can go to these mom conferences or go to these events that cost money, but these moms, they don't know about these events. They don't know
Yeah.
about this community, they don't have the finances to attend, these events. So that's what I'm geared towards. So upcoming this summer, I just secured some sponsorships.
Come
um
on now.
the first curated event for the a women's shelter in the DC area, where they are going to be celebrated, where they don't feel like we're just always giving them meals, always giving them clothes, always, treating them as charity cases. But
Yeah.
celebrate them and pour into them and uplift them, have the panel speakers pour into them, so that one day they can be on this podcast talking about what they went through and how they came through and are pursuing dreams that they didn't think that were reality. So
Yes.
that's
Oh,
where it's
listen, that warms my heart, okay? Because one of the things that you just said is like treating them like they're just no, they are women, they are people, right? And sometimes the situations that this is literally we all are one situation away from not being where we are. You know
yes,
what
sir.
I'm saying? And God continues to cover them and carry and put people in positions to be able to make them feel like themselves. You know what I'm saying? So you definitely gonna have to keep me informed about that. Like that is a beautiful thing. And you slid in there. You ain't say it with confidence, but I heard you with the I've secured some sponsors. Say it with your chest. Say it with your chest.
Listen, because it's just overwhelming when, this was something that I wanted to do, but not knowing how to do it. And that's another thing about self-doubt. Like, you don't know how to do this, you ain't never did this before. But connecting myself with people who have done it and
Mm-hmm.
being able to feel confident enough and feel comfortable enough to reach out to them and say, hey, this is what I'm trying to do. I don't necessarily know how to secure sponsorships. I don't necessarily know how to, connect with other people that may be interested in this event. So, what suggestions, what could you recommend? And being comfortable with that. So, when you know that people are invested in what you're doing and God is going to send those people that need to be invested in what you're doing, it'll happen.
Yes. Yeah, that's absolute, and that I've spoke about this before, and just what you said, your brain is about community impact. Is that you have to be mindful of your community, and that is the reason why a part of this journey is making sure you have the right tribe around you, making sure you're in the correct village, right? A lot of times we're so comfortable with being with the same friends, right? It's nothing wrong with that. Like I got girlfriends that I've had since I was 12 years old, right?
Mhm.
But when you're moving forward, every circle of friends isn't going to be able to help you get to what that ultimate goal and that ultimate vision is. And so you have to be open to, connecting with other women, connecting with other people, asking for help, which is a struggle. um asking for what you need so that you can, because at the end of the day you have work to do, you have an assignment that God has given you, and you can't do it by yourself. Like you may be the visionary, but you need other people to be able to be an extension of you, and that is the reason why other people are blessed with other gifts, so that you got to know what's your ministry and what ain't, right? Like I'd be like
Oh,
that that's not my ministry, I have no idea, can't help you with that, but I might know somebody who can, right? And you got to be willing to just be open to that. So listen, I am proud of you, right? Like through this conversation, you have said like, where you started to where you are right now of just growing this experience for everybody. Like, you literally stepped outside of the box you created for yourself to be able to create something that everybody can glean from. And that is going, I can already see you. You're gonna blow up, sis. You gonna blow up. Yes, yes, yes. So, as you talk about like what's to come in events that are happening, how can people get connected to you and what it is that you are doing so they can be a part of the Keelay Carter experience?
yeah. So the website is www.keelay, KeelayCarter.com, KeelayCarter.com. My Instagram is at Keelay _Carter. and Facebook is Keelay Carter. Everything is Keelay Carter.
Yes. Okay. See, look, that made it very, very easy. And either way, y'all know it will be in the show notes. But just in case, sometimes people they can remember and they just go ahead and just type that in so they can start following you. Yes, this is thank you so much, Keelay, for like literally, being obedient and reaching out and then also, even responding to me and doing it and all of those things and really taking that leap of faith in every step of the way, like literally watching you take those leaps. Like nobody would know watching you, but knowing the backstory of it and just seeing how you're growing, like it is definitely it's beautiful to watch. So I, definitely wish you all the success and I cannot wait to see. I'm telling you, you about to be, when so I was in this coaching course and they were like, what do you see for your business? And some people was being like real modest and they was like, I just want to help people. And I was like, no, I need my name in lights. I want to be a household name. I'm trying to be on the Essence stage. I need Oprah to interview me.
Yeah, it's going to happen too because you're doing numbers with this podcast, but not numbers in just the number of downloads or whatever, but numbers in the number of people that you're impacting through this podcast. It's been amazing.
Thank you so much. All right, y'all, that's all for this week. Thanks for listening, and don't forget to share, subscribe, rate, and review. Remember to head over to Facebook and Instagram and follow me at Slaying Self Doubt. Oh, wait, don't forget, go to my YouTube channel and watch this episode, and remember to press the subscribe button. Until next week, see ya.